All right, welcome back into another episode of Indiebnb. Today, we are joined by Chris Casey from none other than Southeast Georgia from his song "Cow Killers." Chris, how you doing on this, beautiful Wednesday evening?
I'm doing great. I'm a little bit tired just because I've been busy with, a bunch of different projects for school and, of course, music. But other than that, I really can't complain. I'm doing pretty good.
I love it. I love it. Well, obviously the project we're here to talk about is your musical project, and want to understand. Lord Algorithm gave you to me, so I
Yeah.
praise Lord Instagram for throwing me a reel up of cow killers. I don't know what what the Indie B&B algorithm did to get us blessed with you, but take me through. I mean, you've kind of got on this journey. Like, what's been surprising you so far as you've started creating music and getting into this?
Honestly, I think the most surprising thing was like the very first day that Cow Killers was like out because I'd been teasing it like just a little bit over like the past couple weeks before it came out. And then like the week of, I like every day was like posting like a really basic, like I wasn't even wearing the costume or anything. It was just like holding the phone up, doing something for like 10 seconds. And then the first one that I posted were like, okay, I'm wearing the full like farmer outfit, like we're outside, my band's behind me, and like we're just doing the whole thing. That was like it just like blew up out of nowhere. And it really felt like everyone knew that that was gonna happen. And then when it happened, it just like everyone like watched it at the same time. So yeah, that was really just like it felt like instant. And then nothing's been the same ever since. And that was only like 4 weeks ago now. So like it's just all brand new and yeah, I don't know, it really caught me by surprise.
All right, all right. So we teased a little bit. You kind of got in there, and then boom, you're all of a sudden we've got 52,000 streams and counting on Spotify, and like we're
Yeah,
cranking. Like,
yeah.
what I guess in that time, the last 4 weeks, like what is what's happened for you in as far as like the career goes, and obviously we're still down there in school, but I mean, what
Right.
opportunities have sprung up from that?
I think biggest thing is like just being in talks with like A&Rs and stuff. That's been interesting because like I realized I kind of don't know how to talk to A&Rs, or like I feel like I'm not doing it correctly, but like we'll hop on the phone, they'll ask me like how I'm doing, they'll obviously ask me about like the music and like just like a really basic rundown, and I answer all the questions, but like then they'll just be like, yeah, we'll keep in touch, and then that's kind of it. But I mean, I'm still like super grateful, and like they're all super nice, and like we've had some cool conversations, but that's been the biggest thing is just like I guess you could say like that industry conversation being had. So yeah.
Interesting. What'd you grow from that? I mean, it's amazing what you can do, and like on social, obviously. If you looked at our social, we have not figured it out and cracked the code, but you
Yeah.
obviously had some kind of magic. Like, what from that, like what happened? Like, have you gotten more DMs from artists? You people reaching out to you that you never thought would, like, other
A
than
little bit.
A&Rs?
It's been like my favorite one, and I always tell people like this feels like a lie every time I say it, but one of the guitarists from the band Bowling for Soup, they played the Phineas and Ferb theme song.
Yeah.
He like just followed me on Instagram, and like I literally woke up and like I saw that and I was like, there's no like that feels so random, and like it's just like some I don't know, just stuff like that. There's this one YouTuber I used to watch when I was younger who made like these like instrumental breakdowns and stuff. And like I think he pivoted and now he just makes music. But like he followed me, I'm pretty sure. And so it's just been like a lot of cool people, but like, you just never would have thought like, oh, okay, this person, I guess I showed up on their feed and they like the music. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, that's what brought us together. But also, I mean, you say the Bowling for Soup guy who made the Phineas and Ferb theme song. I know Bowling for Soup as fucking 1985, like
Yeah.
the jams they came out with. You're like, yeah, they made this theme song for this show. That
Yeah, I mean that's just I remember like they name dropped the band name in an episode of Phineas and Ferb, and I saw that when I was like 10, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting name, and yeah, that's how I I know them, but yeah.
Okay. Awesome, man. Well, we love it. We love calculars. I mean, it's a song spotlight today. Like we want to understand, kind of from start to finish, like your process of, how that became something, where did the
Yeah,
idea start? Where did it come from? Take us through
of
it.
course. Well, it kind of started like late last year. I think I made it in November, 2024. And like I was already kind of making some tracks. Like I was working on, I guess what would become like the next little project. I didn't know if it was gonna be like an EP or album or whatever, but like I think I was sitting on like 3 songs or 4 songs, and I hadn't made anything in a while. And I was like, man, I need to make another song. I need to like come up with the next idea. And I always start with like the song title. And I think the actual first thing I thought of was like Cowboy Killers or something. And then I shortened it to Cow Killers because like that has more of a, like a snap to it, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And like I just really liked that title. It was like maybe like 10 p.m. I was at my parents' house because it was Thanksgiving. And I like go on the computer and I lay down the chords, like the main chords that you hear in the chorus, like during that drop. And that was gonna be like the main beat for like a while. But like I was like, no, it has too much energy. This feels like a climax moment. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I gotta bring it back. Kept the same drums, just like took out the cymbals. And I was like, this needs like a riff or something like easier to follow along with. And I was struggling to come up with a riff, but there's a song called Tinnitus by Nuffer. And he's like this really small artist. One of my friends showed me his album like last year. I really liked it. And the main riff to Tinnitus is like super sticky. Like it's kind of off kilter. Like it's kind of weird, but like it has a fun groove to it. And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to throw this in the project file to see how it sounds. And I might like change it later, like try to interpolate it. Um, and I never did. That just became like the beat. And like I think I wrote like the whole song basically that night. And then the next day I recorded it. And that was pretty much like the entire song. I think I went back and like I added some of the sound effects. The chorus was like the last thing to be done for it. I was like really trying to come up with something catchy. And I just kind of landed on the final chorus. But yeah, overall, that song was made like in a really like a unprecedented short amount of time. Like I normally don't make songs that fast, but I remember I made it and I was just like, this might be the best thing I ever made. I don't know. But yeah.
It's funny when you say that a lot of the people we talk with, it's like, some of the ones that we like the spotlight songs. I don't know whether it's like just my brain and like it gravitates to the songs that take the shortest amount of time for people to make. It could be that I'm just a simple guy, but like I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I just
I don't know. That's like a thing I think with like a lot of art. Like usually it's, I don't mean to, this might sound like pretentious, but like usually it's like the bigger songs take like the least amount of time. And like you'll always hear them say that in interviews. And I don't know, like it feels like premeditated almost the way that it happens so often. But yeah, it's super weird.
just comes out of you. It just comes out of you.
Right.
Well, I mean, like obviously it's got a little, southern twang. The lyrics, have some we got some loaded lyrics in there. We won't lie,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
talk me through like I guess coming up through, interesting you start with song title and then you come down from there to music and then we go, I mean, is
Right.
it lyrics after that or kind of music and lyrics kind of
Pretty much. I
combined?
mean, it's like I like starting with the title because then I basically go like, how does this song like what would a song called this sound like? And then I go to the music, and then from there, once there's like something like it could be like 4 bars of just a loop, and it's like okay, if I can find a nice rhythm that I like, and I think the I think the first line in the song was the first thing I came up with was like nothing but cows and blue collared employment. And I was like, that's kind of funny, I guess. And
Yeah.
then I just kept like doing that over and over. And I think one line I came up with was like nothing but Trump flags, but I thought that was like way too on the nose. So I was like, okay, let me dial it back. And then somewhere in there, it was like nothing but red flags and mental disorder. And I thought that was like the funniest thing of all time. Like, I think I laughed to myself when I wrote that. And I was like, okay, we're just gonna keep going with that rhyme scheme. And Yeah, and then, you know, I realized like, okay, the song kind of has like a sense of humor to it. Like I'm kind of being a little silly about it. So then I carried that just throughout the whole song. And then, and that last verse, it kind of like hits a little bit hard. Like I'm being like less goofy about it,
Yeah.
but it all kind of comes back around. And I don't know. And then also the instrumental itself is like super zany. I feel like there's a lot especially in the second verse. There's a lot going on towards the back end, and like I don't know. I feel like it all comes together and has like this really cool personality of like I'm saying something, but also like I'm not like it's hard to tell like how serious I'm taking it, but like there's
Yeah.
definitely some impact there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think like anytime you throw out a region, like is like a kind of and in your voice, which one of the things I really noticed about you is like your voice kind of cuts through any kind of, instrumental and everything. And like, it's unique and you don't
Mm.
forget it. Right. Like when I heard Southeast Georgia, like that's I'm going to like, if I hear it, I'm gonna be like a Chris Casey, like boom, like it's,
Yeah.
who it is right away. It's so unique and like such a identifier. And then you hear, obviously we live here in Atlanta. It's like, all right, somebody talking about South Georgia, like, I grew up in Marietta. I grew up, up in this area. I went to school in Middle Georgia. I know about Southeast Georgia. This guy's, making a song about it. I'm like, I'm tuning
Right.
in. Let's go. But like, I think when you bring out a region, you have the unique voice like you. I think that's, and then obviously the zany kind of fun beat back to it. Like, that's
Mm.
kind of it seems like the melting pot of what, what makes Calcula great. Like,
Yeah. And like I honestly didn't even fully realize that until after the song came out. Um, just like reading comments and seeing people be like, "Oh, I like it was so simple." Like a bunch of people were just like, "Oh, I'm from around like Southeast Georgia," or like,
yeah,
the Florida line was one that like a lot
dude,
of people like every other comment to this day is still like it's either people like mad at me for saying that or they're like, "Oh, I'm from Florida," and like I agree. And so it's just like really cool. I didn't realize like that would be like the core thing of the song, like bringing people together in a
yeah.
way.
It's
So yeah.
it's funny, like it's the South is unlike any other place where I think we have such pride in like our regionality and like of any kind of, yeah, I'm from here.
Yeah.
I don't claim Atlanta. I claim Atlanta now because I've lived here for a while, but like when you live in Marietta and you're people who live in Atlanta, you say that you're from Atlanta, you're not. Like you live in Marietta. You don't live here. Like you don't
Right.
live at ITP, like, it's just such an interesting thing. Like you don't get that in, other people just don't give a fuck where they're from. Like it's just like, all right, like I don't know why you guys are so angry about where you're
Yeah.
at, but
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
where that comes from. But it's so funny. And then you shit on Florida and people love it, man. I mean, like that's the that's the ticket. Well, kind of getting into where we're going from here, what you've done in the past as far as like, live show, different things. Like what's that look like for you so far? And I'm sure this, Calculator has probably opened up some doors in that aspect as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, this past Friday we did a show, and like I've been doing shows since like I want to say like halfway through 2023 is when like I did my very first show, and I've just been trying to do them consistently. And they've been cool. A lot of the time though, it's like the attendance of people, like the amount of people that show up has a lot to do with like who put the show together, like who else is on the bill. And the show we did past Friday was like awesome because it was really it was me, it was my friend Nolly, and then it was my other friend's band, Lifelong Gap Year. And that was probably like it probably wasn't the biggest show, but like it was packed out. Like it was a house show, so like we did in like my bandmate's living room. But like, man, there were probably at least like 30 people there, and that doesn't sound that crazy, but like 30 people in like a living room,
Yeah.
and like it's just like person to person. Like that was really cool, and like I've wanted to have that for like a long time, honestly. And then we did Cow Killers, and that song went crazy. Like it felt like everyone knew the words, and during the drops, like we're just like jumping up and down, like it's going so crazy, and it was sweaty, and like I was so tired by the end of it, but like that was so much fun, and I don't think that show would have had that energy had like everything not just pop off a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think like those are the ones you probably are going to remember for a while when you're, hey, when you're selling out the arena, you're going to be like, man, dude, we could be playing that fucking basement party we had that one time though was fucking sick. Like, what are we
Right.
talking about? Um, well, that's awesome. I mean, like, as far as getting you into some venues, like, are there local places that you played in Statesboro or in, Savannah? Like, what's kind of that scene look like?
It's interesting because Savannah and Statesboro, well, really, it's more like Savannah, but their scene is like heavily like DIY. Like, you know, people will do house shows. It'll be like a house that like no one's ever heard of ever. But like, you put up the address and like you could honestly like pack out an entire house in one night. But there's a lot of houses. There's a place called Sentient Bean and like a coffee shop. But like they do shows and like, people will pull up. And I don't know, it's super interesting. Like it's very, I don't know what the word is. It feels like scrapped together almost, but
Yeah.
like that's just like the vibe of it. But then it really once you get like regional, like the southeast, that's when you get like a lot more like actual venues.
Yeah.
There's a place in Jacksonville called the Walrus, who like they host some really crazy shows. There's a lot of crazy bands in Florida, but they reached out to me a little bit ago. We're hopefully trying to do something there. Like, I really hope that can come together because like a lot of my favorite like local bands or like regional bands are like from Florida, and they have such a crazy scene. But yeah, overall, I mean, I don't know. It's always been like a very welcoming scene. I never felt like, oh, we don't want you here. We don't want. It's always been super welcoming, and everyone I've met is like super nice. And I feel like now it's just like a bigger platform. So
Sure.
yeah, I don't know, just really cool stuff.
Hey, I feel like I'm talking to you. We've talked to some people who've like kind of gone up, and we've seen them. I've seen them at one venue in Atlanta, another. Like, actually, this guy, medium bill, but like, I think I'm talking to you, and the first time that I talked to him, where it's like, yeah, man, like we're starting to get this, kind of buzz. Same thing with the guy I had on last week. Sure, like he's starting to get some buzz as far as and some notoriety, and like you're about to have like a fun next like 8 to 12 months, I feel like, and just getting to see, and
Dude,
I'm excited to watch from where we're sitting, like what's going to happen. But
yeah, thank you.
with the live set, like you mentioned, you have a full band, so who are those guys? Like, is it like the Chris Casey band? Or are they just like, you just they're your buddies who they're good with it being just you? Or like, when you
Yeah.
ideally, if you go play the Walrus, what's the setup like, and what do you want people feeling whenever they leave there?
Yeah, so that band, it's funny the way we met. Um, we played a show last summer, and actually it was the release show for like my most recent project, Head High. That was like the release show, and the people that put that bill together put them on the bill. And I'd heard of them like a couple times, but like I'd never really met anyone or like heard the music. But we all met and we're all like around the same age. Like I think most of them are like a year younger than me. But that was really cool because a lot of the people I meet in Savannah like are a good bit older than me. But we were all about the same age. We chopped it up. They had listened to some of my music, they liked it, and then they played first. And I really, really liked their music. And I was like, you guys might be the best band in Savannah, like right now. We played a couple more shows, and then around the time when I was like, okay, I want to have a backing band for the shows, I mean, they were all down to do it. And at first I didn't want to ask them because I thought like, oh, I'm like, I don't want to like take away from like what y'all are doing as your own band, but like, no, they were all down, and we've been running that since like October, and they're all really cool. It's a band called Slurp, and they make like, it's weird because they make like hardcore music, like low key, and like the switch up is just so crazy. But like they're all like super versatile and like super good at playing. Um, and yeah, that's how that came about. And they just bring like such a cool energy to the shows. I used to just play with like a backing track and like just do the vocals, right? But I feel like now that, especially now that the music is like a lot more like rock instrumentation, like you just feel that way harder with a live band. And
Yeah.
I feel a lot more confident on stage, and like we'll try out some like really crazy stuff with the songs, and the crowd really likes it. So yeah, it's really cool. And I want just like the big takeaway to be like a really fun, unique experience because I feel like it's not every day you see like a rapper with, just a straight up rock band behind them and like we'll do breakdowns and like, borderline like there's a song we do public safety and like playing that song with a band like we just turn it into like a hardcore song and like we'll be jumping around like I won't even be doing the lyrics, we'll just be like screaming and like I'll go into the crowd and like do some stuff. So like, yeah, it's just a totally different experience, and I'm super happy that they're letting me do that. So yeah,
Yeah. Shout out Slurp for
yeah,
getting
one
involved.
hundred
We love
percent.
it. We love it. Something I did want to, bring back, you mentioned your, Head High. One
Yeah,
song that did kind of stick out to me, Risky, kind of, I felt, I wrote down kind of shoegazy, kind of like, have a little bit more of the spoken kind of, spoken word on it with, over some tracks. Like, take me through, a little bit about that one. Like, how'd that one come to
yeah,
be?
definitely. Geez. Okay, so I wrote that song last summer, or it was the summer of 2023 is when I wrote it, and because that's when I was like putting the album together. And I don't know if like Dominic Fike released his album Sunburn, and there's a song called Think Fast on there. And I remember that was like one of my favorite albums of 2023. I like love Dominic Fike. I love that album. And the main beat of Think Fast is like I think it's literally just like the bass and the drums and like some synths going on. But it's like really low key and like he's like kind of rapping over it, doing like a rappy, singy cadence. And I remember thinking like that's so sick. And I went on YouTube and like someone did like the AI like vocal split of the instrumental. And like I took that and I just looped like that first verse beat and I wrote the entire first verse of Risky over that beat. And then I came back to it later. I think I got like a loop off of Splice. That's like where that guitar is from. And then like I redid the drums, added in like some extra stuff. And that's how the song came about. And then like I had that first verse already written. I just like put that over there, did the really quick chorus, and then did the second verse. And that song's really cool. I love that song because like I remember when I was writing it, I just like a lot of stuff had just happened. Like I graduated from high school, really just thinking about like the future and like thinking a lot about the past and stuff. And I felt like there's just a lot of things that had happened that I feel like I'd like moved past in like a really healthy way. And so I was just like reminiscing on those things. And that whole song to me is just like looking back on things and like just feeling like you've grown from them, but like they still hold a place in your heart, you know? And so I really love that song. And I feel like I mean, literally like right behind Cow Killers, I feel like that's the song that like a lot of people know. And so I don't know, it's just super sick.
Oh man, well, I love that. I picked that one. I was like, man, this one comes out to me, quickly.
Yeah.
It hits the ear. So I love you kind of like are taking, these indie rock, indie kind of folk people, and you're sampling through that, right? Like, you see a lot of, rappers will go get, other stuff from, other rappers, or, they'll have like the, pop hits or something from that, like. I
Yeah.
love that you're kind of taking something that you're unique and you love, like, and sampling over those things to get, more people to, get your music, but also, you talking about it, it's like, hey, people are going to go listen to Dominic Fike and that, that album, right? Like, he doesn't need
Yeah.
any more fans, but like, at least it's kind of part of your process. That's the
Right.
kind of the beauty of what you're doing. So, um, as we kind of transition here to something a little bit lighter, the Pete Peterson party pack of questions, quick questions, right in a row. It's going to be 20 questions.
Okay.
Pete Peterson's party pack questions. Here we go. Chris Casey, cake or pie?
Hi.
He's pieing it up. All right. Salad or soup?
Salad.
Oh, he's a salad. All right. Sunrise or
Yeah.
sunset? What are you seeing more of?
Sunrise.
All
Sunrise.
right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Would you rather hit a home run or score a touchdown?
Score a touchdown. I think baseball is like the worst sport, honestly. I hate watching baseball.
Not a Braves fan. All right. Here we go.
Yeah, I hit a
All right.
touchdown.
Touchdowns. Night in or night out? What are you having more of these days?
Night in.
Love that. When you do go out and you do hit the bars hard in Statesboro, are you more likely to hit the robot or the worm when your jam comes on?
Probably the robot, but I feel like I wouldn't hit a good worm. So yeah.
All right. All right. Worms in the works. Worms in the works.
Yeah.
I like it. Guac or queso at your favorite Mexican spot?
Queso.
He's quesoing it up. All right. Waffles or pancakes?
Waffles, easy.
Easy. Okay. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Teeing it up. All right.
Yeah.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs, but it's close.
Close. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you identify more as a ninja or a pirate?
Probably a ninja.
Ninja. He's swift. We like it. Getting in and out. Let's go. Gatorade or Powerade?
Powerade.
He's from Georgia, Coca-Cola Company. Let's go. No free ads. Anyway, toast or bagels?
Bagels. It's going to be bagels. Yeah.
All right. All right. Chips or pretzels?
Chips.
Fries or tots?
Fries all day.
All right. All right. TV show or movie after a long day?
TV show. 100%.
I love it. Are aliens real?
Yes.
What about Bigfoot?
Bigfoot is not real.
Not real. All right. Is love at first sight real?
I'm going to say no.
No love from Chris Casey at first sight. We love it. All right. And final question of Pete Peterson's Party Pack. You've mentioned a couple bands already, obviously Slurp, Niffer, but who are some bands that we ought to check out that we might not know? Who are some of your people that you've been somebody you'd recommend listening to?
I think I've been on a title fight kick since like last spring. I cannot stop listening to Title Fight. I love all of their albums. I think Floral Green is my favorite, and I love watching their like old sets back because like I've literally never seen, like they'll have people running up on stage doing front flips and crowd surfing, and like Ned Russin hardly even like does vocals half the time. Like he'll just be like, he like the energy is just so off the charts, and like I love everything that they were doing back then. So I love Title Fight. I love Laundry Day as well. They're much more of like a pop band, but like Laundry Day makes some really cool music, and like you wouldn't think, like you'd think they'd have more fans, honestly. Like I'm very surprised like you could still consider them being like underground, but like they're super poppy and like have a lot of personality. So like yeah, those are like my two favorite bands right now, I'd say.
I love it. I love it. All right. Last little bit of here before we let you go. If you'll pull out your mobile device, what was your last Spotify, Apple Music, whatever your streaming search? What was the last thing that you searched?
So I looked up an artist by the name of Yes Daddy, and he is from Mobile, Alabama. And I know him because we did a couple shows together in Statesboro while he was touring. And he makes like indie sleaze, pop, like electronic, like that sort of thing. Honestly, like super cool dude, pretty crazy artist, super underrated. I feel like he makes some really great music and more people should know about it. So yeah.
All right. We love that. My last search, other than Chris Casey, all caps, you can find him on Spotify and all the streaming platforms, was Bryce Vine. He is
Really?
he's headed to Atlanta. He's like a, you know who he is? You've heard of him?
I don't.
Yeah, he's like California pop, one of the kind of Quinn 92, but a little bit different. But yeah, Bryce Vine, he's coming on Friday. I might go to stoplight observations. I don't know. We'll see what I'm feeling that day. But Bryce Vine was my last search.
Right
but
on.
Chris Casey, thank you so much for stopping by and coming to the Indiebnb. We're fans now, so, anytime you come up to Atlanta, please hit us up, let us know. We'll be there to, if we can support, we'll be there for sure. And everybody check out Chris Casey. check out Cow Killers on all streaming platforms. It'll be linked in the description below. If you're on YouTube, it's that really long link that I can't, do anything about. But it'll be a link directly to his Cow Killer Spotify. So, check everything out. Chris Casey, go listen to his other album as well. Go listen to Risky. So, we appreciate you coming in, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This was really awesome. And yeah, it's super cool. Super cool.
You got it, man.